What would you do if you discovered that the woman who cleaned your house for 7 years was secretly running a lifeline for forgotten children in the most dangerous part of town? And following her one rainy night would completely shatter everything you thought you knew about courage, sacrifice, and what it truly means to save a life. If you love interesting stories like this that expose the truth, please give this video a thumbs up and tell us in the comments section where in the world you are watching this video. And also do well to smash that subscribe button. Robert Mitchell thought he knew everything about the world. At 58, the millionaire real estate mogul from Miami had built an empire. Sharp eyes, sharper instincts, and money that opened every door. But there was one door he'd never bothered to open. The one that led to understanding the woman who'd worked in his house for 7 long years. Her name was Kesha Washington. Quiet, reliable, invisible. For 7 years, she cleaned his mansion, folded his clothes, and disappeared into the background like morning mist. Never late. Never complained. Never asked for anything except time off for church or the doctor. But something had changed. Robert noticed it first in the way she moved slower, like she carried invisible weights. Then came the photograph. He'd glimpsed it by accident one morning. Kesha stood frozen in his kitchen, her hand buried deep in her coat pocket, gripping something she wouldn't pull out. Her breathing was shallow, her eyes distant and drowning. The sound of her sighs haunted him. Small but deep, like someone breathing through pain that never ended. Every Thursday, she left early. Got somewhere to be. She'd say no smile, no explanation. Just gone. One rainy Thursday in Miami, Robert's curiosity finally won. He followed her. Through neighborhoods he'd never seen up close, past tired street signs and corner stores wrapped in security bars. Kesha's blue Honda led him to a place that felt like another world entirely. The rough side of town where hope went to die. She stopped at New Hope Baptist Church, paint peeling, windows patched with duct tape, empty parking lot except for her car, and one rusted van. Robert sat in his truck, engine running, watching her rush inside with a grocery bag. His heart hammered against his ribs. What was she doing here? The basement window revealed everything. A dozen kids sat on folding chairs and floor mats. Homeless kids. Foster kids. Kids with nowhere else to go. And there was Kesha. Not just serving soup and crackers, but being their everything. Their mother. Their safe harbor. Their hope. A teenage boy ran to her and wrapped his arms around her waist. She nearly spilled the soup but just smiled, rubbing his back like he was her own child. Robert stepped back, mind spinning. 7 years. 7 years. And he'd never really seen her at all. That night, he couldn't sleep. Bourbon sat untouched in his glass as questions burned through his mind. Who were these kids? How long had she been doing this? And why had she never said a word? The next morning, Kesha arrived on time like always. "Morning, Mr. Mitchell," she said, hanging her umbrella by the door like nothing had happened. He watched her differently now. Not with suspicion, but with something closer to awe. Thursday came again. As she prepared to leave, Robert found his voice. "Kesha." She turned, surprised. "Yes, sir? You always leave early on Thursdays." Her eyes met his. No panic. No lies. Just calm truth. "I do. Everything okay?" For a moment, something flickered behind her eyes. Weariness. Pain. "Yes, sir. Everything's fine." But Robert had seen the truth with his own eyes. The following week, he left a box of supplies by her car. Canned goods, peanut butter, school backpacks. A simple note. For Thursday. That evening, he waited in the hallway. She found him there, holding the empty box. "I went back to that church," he said before she could speak. I didn't tell anyone. I just needed to know. Silence stretched between them like a bridge neither was sure they could cross. Finally, Kesha sat across from him. You don't owe me anything, Mr. Mitchell. You've always paid me fair. I don't think you're doing this for praise, Robert replied. I think you're doing something most people wouldn't have the courage for. Her voice softened. I do what I can. Those kids, they've got nobody. Parents in prison, foster homes that don't care, living in motels. One boy watched his brother get shot last year. Robert's throat tightened. I can't fix everything, she continued, but I can give them 3 hours a week. Safety, food, someone who sees them. That's more than most, he whispered. She stood to leave. Thank you for the supplies. They'll be grateful. But Robert wasn't done learning about Kesha Washington. The next Thursday, he didn't ask permission. Do you need help tonight? She stared at him like he'd spoken in tongues. You're serious? Dead serious. I've got 2 hands and an SUV. That night changed everything. The basement was chaos with rhythm. Crayon drawings covered chipped walls. A broken piano sat beside a whiteboard. Kids sprawled on mats, alive with laughter when Kesha walked in. Miss K! They screamed like she was royalty. Robert helped serve snacks, awkward but determined. A girl with missing teeth complimented his watch. A boy asked if he used to be in the army. No, Robert chuckled, but I've survived some tough business meetings. The kids weren't impressed. After snacks came homework help, puzzles, and quiet moments. One boy sat arms crossed, staring at nothing. Kesha knelt beside him. DeAndre, what's wrong? He shrugged, chewing his hoodie. Kesha just sat with him. Silent, present, patient. Robert watched it all. The way she touched their shoulders, called them baby like it meant safety, smiled with her whole heart despite the pain behind her eyes. As they cleaned up, Robert asked the question burning in his chest. Why do you do this? Kesha leaned against her car, voice dropping low. My son. His name was Marcus. He was 10 when cancer took him. I spent everything trying to save him. 2 jobs, then 3. When he died, I didn't know how to keep breathing. So I started helping other people's babies. It's the only way I feel close to him. Robert couldn't speak. All those years of humming while she folded laundry, never knowing she carried that kind of heartbreak. What do you need, Kesha? She shook her head. Just time and strength. That's all I've ever asked for. But Robert had already decided. He wasn't watching from the sidelines anymore. Weeks passed. Robert showed up every Thursday. The kids called him Mr. R, asked wild questions, made him laugh more than he had in years. Then came the night everything shifted again. One Thursday, Kesha stood in the church alley crying. Not dramatic sobs, just quiet, exhausted tears of someone who'd carried too much for too long. You okay? Robert asked softly. She wiped her face. I missed rent last month. My car's breaking down. I've been using my paycheck to keep this place running. Why didn't you tell me? Because it's not your job to save me. I don't want to save you, Robert said. I want to support you. There's a difference. That night, he handed her an envelope. New salary, double her old pay. Health insurance. A part-time helper for his house, so she wouldn't burn out. And official position on the board of the non-profit he'd created. I never asked for this, she whispered. You earned it. Just promise me one thing. Don't carry the world alone anymore. 2 months later, the basement was transformed. New floors, painted murals, donated computers. The program had grown. Weekends, tutoring, hope spreading like wildfire. When a journalist wrote their story, Robert refused interviews. This isn't about me. She's the story. Donations poured in. Volunteers appeared. Lives changed. One evening, a little girl named Aisha ran back inside, breathless, clutching a crayon drawing. It showed Kesha surrounded by children, all holding hands, with words scrawled at the bottom. "Thank you for loving us when nobody else did." Robert watched Kesha hug that child tight, and something inside him settled into place. He'd spent decades building properties that made people rich. Now he was helping build something that made people matter. That night, he called his estranged son, left a voicemail. "I've been learning what it means to really show up for people. I'd like to show up for you too." The next morning, Kesha arrived with her usual paper bag of biscuits and that same worn coat. "Ready for Thursday?" Robert asked. "Always," she smiled. "Because sometimes the most important difference we make isn't in what we own or build. It's in the lives we hold up when no one else will. Sometimes you don't need to change the whole world. Sometimes you just need to show up for someone who's been carrying too much alone."